What if everything you thought about insomnia was wrong? What if the real cause isn't stress or caffeine, but something hidden deep inside your body's clock? Stick around, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover secrets about sleep that most people never learn, and a path to finally breaking free from restless nights. For many people, insomnia doesn't come crashing in like a thunderstorm. It sneaks in like a whisper. It starts with a racing mind at bedtime, replaying awkward conversations, or worrying about tomorrow's to-do list. Sometimes, it's not even about the thoughts themselves, but the need to fall asleep that ironically keeps one awake. This overthinking becomes a barrier between us and the serenity of deep sleep, chipping away at our sleep hygiene without mercy. And just when the body is begging for rest, the mind decides it's showtime. Other times, the culprit is anticipation, waiting for test results, dreading a meeting, or even looking forward to a big day. This heightened state of alertness, driven by cortisol and adrenaline, makes falling asleep feel like trying to meditate on a roller coaster. And though these stressors might seem temporary, their impact can linger in our nervous system, subtly sabotaging our bedtime routine night after night. This is why natural sleep remedies aren't just a trend. They're a lifeline for many. Pain, both physical and emotional, can also pull the rug out from under our best efforts to improve sleep quality. A sore back, a broken heart, or chronic illness all can make lying in bed feel more like a battle than a blessing. Sleep becomes a distant goal instead of a natural state. In this space, relaxation techniques can be the rope we cling to, offering moments of stillness when a night feels endless. Noisy neighbors, barking dogs, streetlights piercing through the window. Environmental stressors are the silent assassins of better sleep habits. They don't just interrupt sleep. They condition the brain to expect disruption. And once that expectation is set, even a quiet room can feel threatening. It's in this scenario that people begin exploring insomnia relief methods, but sometimes don't realize the first step is simply regaining control over their sleeping environment. But let's not forget the silent, internal triggers, digestive discomfort, respiratory issues, or even subtle hormonal imbalances. These often go unnoticed, but can keep the body on edge through the night. When these factors linger, insomnia shifts from a symptom to a pattern. And once that cycle sets in, well, that's when things begin to spiral. But we'll get there. Imagine lying in bed, eyes closed, but your mind starts whispering, "What if I don't fall asleep again?" That one thought spirals, snowballing into worry, then frustration, then panic. And before you know it, the bed, meant to be a sanctuary, feels more like a trap. This is the cruel paradox of insomnia. The harder someone tries to sleep, the more sleep slips away. The brain activates the fight or flight response, flooding the body with stress hormones and making relaxation techniques feel as effective as yelling at a thunderstorm. That biological response, heart racing, muscles tense, mind racing, isn't a glitch. It's the brain trying to protect you. But it doesn't realize the threat isn't real. It's just the fear of not sleeping. So each night becomes a performance, with a very demanding audience, your own anxiety. The longer the show runs, the more entrenched the cycle becomes. And suddenly, sleep isn't natural anymore. It's a battle of willpower. That's when people start desperately clinging to natural sleep remedies, hoping for a shortcut out of this loop. But the body keeps score. As stress builds, cortisol floods the bloodstream, tricking the body into staying alert. It's like drinking coffee before bed, without even touching a cup. The heart beats a little faster, the breath gets a bit shallower, and the brain refuses to shut down. Even when sleep finally comes, it's fragmented and shallow, leaving one feeling exhausted and defeated. It's not just lost rest, it's lost restoration. Deep sleep tips become more than suggestions. They become survival strategies. This hyperalert state doesn't just affect the night, it haunts the day. Mood swings, low energy, trouble focusing, all symptoms of a brain stuck in overdrive. And yet, as night approaches again, the dread creeps back in. What if it happens again? That thought alone restarts the entire cycle. It's here that sleep meditation begins to play a pivotal role, teaching the mind to release instead of resist. Each night becomes a test, not just of one's ability to sleep, but of one's resilience. And the more nights lost, the deeper the trench becomes. But why does this cycle feel so hard to break, even when the body is clearly begging for rest? The answer lies beneath the surface, inside the very biology that powers the mind and body. And that's where we go next. Inside the quiet hum of the human body, sleep is supposed to be the great healer, the moment when everything slows down so we can rebuild. But in the grip of insomnia, the opposite happens. The metabolism, which should gently wind down, stays in high gear. The body burns through glucose meant to nourish the brain, and instead of entering a restorative state, it's running a marathon in the dark. It's no wonder people wake up feeling like they never rested at all. The promise of insomnia relief starts to feel like a distant fantasy. See, during deep sleep, the brain performs vital tasks, storing memories, detoxifying waste, repairing cells. But when stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are in play, those systems get disrupted. Instead of drifting into the healing stages of slumber, the body fights to survive an invisible threat. That's why even 8 hours in bed can leave someone feeling drained. In this state, efforts to improve sleep quality often feel like patching a sinking boat with duct tape, until the root cause is addressed. The cruel twist is that this internal chaos isn't always obvious. Someone might not even realize their stress hormones are spiking through the night. They just know they're tired, really tired. It's a foggy exhaustion that clings through the day, stripping away motivation, focus, and joy. And so they reach for quick fixes, more caffeine, long naps, irregular bedtimes, all of which further disrupt the circadian rhythm and sabotage the healing process sleep is meant to provide. This cycle also chips away at confidence. People start to question themselves. Why can't I just sleep like everyone else? But this isn't about willpower. It's about biology being hijacked by survival instincts. And when the body forgets how to relax, better sleep habits aren't just helpful. They become essential. It's in the little rituals before bed, the gentle signals to the nervous system, that restoration begins to return. Still, understanding the biology is only half the battle. The deeper wound often lies in the way insomnia begins to erode mental health. When night after night becomes a struggle, it doesn't just wear down the body, it starts to chip away at the mind. And that, as you'll soon see, opens the door to even darker terrain. There's something deeply unsettling about lying awake night after night, watching the ceiling fade from black to gray as dawn approaches. When insomnia stretches beyond a few restless nights and becomes a lingering shadow for weeks or even months, it transforms into something far more insidious. This is chronic insomnia, and it doesn't just exhaust the body, it starts to unravel the mind. A person can start to feel like they're unraveling too, piece by fragile piece. What once felt like a temporary inconvenience now feels like a haunting presence. It's no surprise that insomnia relief becomes a desperate pursuit. The longer sleeplessness stays, the more it feeds off emotional instability. Anxiety starts creeping into daylight hours, like a storm cloud that never moves on. Depression often follows, whispering lies like you're broken or you'll never feel normal again. And the worst part? Each of these mental battles worsens the insomnia itself, creating a self-fueling storm. It's a vicious loop. Mental health declines, sleep suffers, and the decline deepens. The need to improve sleep quality becomes more than a lifestyle choice. It becomes a fight for survival. Those who've walked through this phase know it's not about laziness or weakness. It's about a body and mind that can no longer coordinate rest. Even the most soothing bedtime routine can feel useless when the brain is locked in panic mode. Yet ironically, many people suffer in silence. They go to work, smile at friends, and keep it together during the day, only to fall apart when the lights go out. It's in this private war that many discover the quiet power of sleep meditation, not as a cure, but as a companion. In these moments, hope comes from the smallest victories. Falling asleep 10 minutes earlier waking up only once instead of 3 times, or feeling slightly more energized in the morning. These aren't just stats, they're milestones. Rebuilding mental health starts with reclaiming those little pieces of rest. It requires compassion, patience, and a willingness to honor the body's rhythms again. It also means reshaping the way we think about sleep, not as a performance, but as a relationship that must be nurtured. But here's the real challenge. When a mind is fighting and the body is tired, how does someone even begin to build those better sleep habits? Where does one start when everything feels out of sync? The answer begins with understanding that the foundation of healing lies in something deceptively simple. Daily practices that slowly, but surely, teach the body how to feel safe again. And that leads us to the unsung hero of sleep recovery, sleep hygiene. When the nights grow long and sleep becomes a stranger, many look outward for solutions. Pills, supplements, late-night Google searches. But the real key, often overlooked, lies not in what you add, but in what you reshape. This is the quiet magic of sleep hygiene. It's not glamorous, and it doesn't promise overnight miracles, but it lays the groundwork for sustainable healing. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't force the plants to grow. You create the right environment, and nature does the rest. At the core of good sleep hygiene is simplicity. Use your bed only for sleep, keep the room dark and quiet, and protect your evening routine like a sacred ritual. These aren't arbitrary tips. They're signals to the brain, subtle but powerful, that say, it's time to rest. For someone caught in the insomnia loop, these small changes can feel surprisingly radical. It's not about perfection, but consistency. With each night that the body receives the same message, the nervous system begins to loosen its grip. The idea is to improve sleep quality by teaching the body to feel safe again. But let's not pretend it's easy. When the anxiety hits hard, simply lying in bed can feel unbearable. That's why part of better sleep habits involves learning when to leave the bed. Sounds counterintuitive, right? But walking away, reading a book in soft light, stretching, or practicing relaxation techniques can calm the mind faster than tossing and turning for hours. This sends a powerful message. The bed is for sleep, not struggle. And then comes the moment of return. Back into bed after the storm passes. This is a powerful act, where the brain begins to rewire its associations. And night after night, this practice compounds. Add in supportive habits like avoiding bright screens after sundown, using calming scents like lavender, or incorporating gentle sleep meditation, and you're slowly building a fortress of safety around your rest. It's not just routine, it's recovery in motion. Still, even with all this effort, something deeper often works against the rhythm, a misaligned internal clock. When the body's timing is out of sync with the world, even the best sleep hygiene can feel like swimming upstream. And that's when the conversation must shift from environment to biology, from habit to circadian rhythm. The human body is a masterpiece of timing. Beneath our awareness runs an internal clock, the circadian rhythm, that governs sleep and wakefulness like a seasoned conductor leading an orchestra. But when this rhythm gets out of sync, it's as if the orchestra is playing in a different key, causing dissonance that robs sleep of its restorative power. Regular sleep and wake times aren't just suggestions. They're the language this clock understands best, sending signals that it's time to wind down or gear up. Think about it. The circadian rhythm is deeply sensitive to light. That glow from a phone screen or a bright room late at night. It confuses the brain into thinking it's daytime, pushing back the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone. That's why good sleep hygiene isn't just about quiet and darkness. It's about respecting this natural rhythm, tuning into the body's cues. The difference between a restless night and a deep, refreshing one can hinge on the simple act of dimming the lights and turning off screens at the right moment. Consistency here is the unsung hero. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends, helps stabilize this internal clock. It's like training a muscle. The more consistent the routine, the stronger the rhythm. And as that rhythm strengthens, the body starts naturally craving sleep at the right times, reducing that nagging anxiety that feeds insomnia. Over time, this creates a positive feedback loop that gently pulls sleep back into alignment. Of course, life happens. Work deadlines, social events, or travel can throw the rhythm off course. But the key is returning to the pattern as quickly as possible. When the rhythm falters, it's tempting to sleep in late or nap excessively. But these quick fixes often backfire, further confusing the clock. Instead, small daily rituals, like morning sunlight exposure or a brief walk outside, can reset the rhythm and reinforce better bedtime routine habits. This dance between light, time, and body signals shows just how intricately sleep is woven into our biology. Yet, when timing isn't the culprit, sometimes other forces come into play. Forces that might require more than routine and willpower to overcome. Next, we'll explore how medication fits into the picture and why it's both a help and hazard. When insomnia refuses to loosen its grip, the temptation to turn to medication can feel overwhelming. Sleep aids promise a quick escape from the exhausting battle of tossing and turning, making them an alluring shortcut to insomnia relief. But here's the catch. Not all sleep medications are created equal, and not all work the same for every individual. What feels like a miracle one night might lead to grogginess or dependency the next morning. It's a tricky balancing act. Doctors sometimes prescribe medications to help reset the sleep cycle or provide temporary relief, but these aren't magic pills. Many of these drugs target brain chemistry in ways that can dull symptoms but don't address the root causes: stress, poor sleep hygiene, or misaligned circadian rhythm. Worse, some can even make insomnia worse in the long run by disrupting the natural architecture of sleep, preventing the deep, restorative stages crucial for feeling refreshed. Over-the-counter options, though more accessible, carry their own risks. Antihistamines, often found in sleep aids, might knock someone out but can cause daytime drowsiness, dry mouth, or cognitive fog. Plus, the body can quickly build tolerance, requiring higher doses for the same effect, a slippery slope toward dependency. It's like borrowing energy from tomorrow to survive today, a debt that comes due eventually. The key here is balance and education. Medication can be a helpful tool when used carefully and as part of a broader strategy that includes relaxation techniques and cultivating better sleep habits. But leaning solely on pills is a bit like trying to fix a leaky roof by mopping the floor. The real repair work happens when lifestyle, environment, and biology come into harmony. Still, some people face underlying conditions that stubbornly resist even the best hygiene and medication strategies. That's where understanding more about the body's internal clock and unique sleep patterns becomes essential, especially for those with conditions like delayed sleep phase disorder. But before we dive into that, let's pause and reflect on how these deeper forces shape the insomnia journey. Sometimes the struggle with insomnia isn't just about stress, habits, or medication. For roughly 8% of those battling chronic sleeplessness, the culprit hides deeper within their very biology. Delayed sleep phase disorder, DSPD, is one such condition, a genetic twist where the internal clock runs longer than the usual 24 hours. It's like living a day that never quite matches the world's schedule, making traditional bedtime routines feel like a losing battle. Imagine trying to fall asleep when your body says it's still early evening, while the rest of the world has long since turned off the lights. For people with DSPD, the frustration isn't from willpower, but from a mismatch between internal timing and external demands. They might finally drift off at 2 or 3 a.m., only to struggle waking up for work or school. It's a lonely rhythm, often misunderstood by friends, family, and even doctors. The good news is that when DSPD is recognized and respected, sufferers can reclaim their sleep by aligning with their natural cycles rather than fighting them. This means embracing a personalized schedule that honors their unique circadian rhythm, even if it means sleeping and waking later than most. For many, this approach is a game changer, transforming chronic insomnia into manageable, even restful nights. However, recognizing an underlying condition is just the start. It requires compassion, flexibility, and sometimes adjustments in lifestyle or work. It also calls for a shift in mindset, from trying to force sleep into a one-size-fits-all schedule to honoring the body's wisdom. When this shift happens, natural sleep remedies and tailored relaxation techniques become powerful allies on the road to healing. But even with all this knowledge, the final piece of the puzzle remains: how to balance the quest for perfect sleep with the reality of life's unpredictability. Because as anyone who's wrestled with insomnia knows, obsessing over sleep can sometimes make it slip further away. Here's a truth that often gets lost in the endless quest for flawless sleep: consistency beats perfection every time. The magic isn't about hitting some mythical, perfect bedtime or following every deep sleep tip in the book. It's about building a routine that feels sustainable, a rhythm that respects the ups and downs of real life. After all, chasing perfection can backfire, turning rest into another source of stress. And that's the last thing anyone struggling with insomnia needs. Balancing patience and effort is the secret sauce. It's about showing up night after night, even when the mind is noisy and the body resists. Slowly, the brain relearns that bedtime means safety, not anxiety. The relaxation techniques and sleep meditation practices aren't just checkboxes, they're lifelines. They remind the mind and body that rest is possible, even when it feels out of reach. And here's a gentle nudge: don't let frustration steal your progress. It's okay to have rough nights, to feel tired during the day, or to lose the rhythm temporarily. What matters most is the return journey, the willingness to try again, to prioritize better sleep habits, and to honor your body's needs without judgment. The journey itself holds the power to transform both sleep and life. So as this chapter closes, it's worth asking, what small step can be taken tonight to reclaim a piece of rest? What quiet ritual might become the beacon guiding through the sleepless storm? Because the journey of healing sleep is deeply personal, woven from countless tiny decisions that add up to profound change. And just as the night fades into dawn, so too does struggle give way to renewal. Of course, this is just the beginning. There's much more to explore: how to recognize hidden patterns, how to nurture your natural rhythms, and how to embrace sleep not as a task, but as a gift. The path forward invites curiosity and courage. Are you ready to take the next step? Now that you've unlocked these powerful insights into the world of sleep, it's time to take charge and apply what you've learned. How will you reshape your bedtime routine tonight? What small change can start breaking the cycle of restless nights and open the door to deep sleep? Remember, real transformation comes from consistent, patient effort, and you have everything you need to start right now. So, here's a challenge. What's one habit you'll commit to improving today? Drop it in the comments below. Let's create a community that supports and inspires each other on this journey toward better sleep habits. If this video helped you understand your insomnia in a new way, give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next step in your path to restful, rejuvenating sleep. After all, your journey to healing sleep is just beginning, and I'll be here with you every step of the way.